Macros.
Macros. The magic word that everybody in fitness is always talking about. What are they? Stay tuned. Find out. What's up, all my devil dogs? It's your boy Sean Otley, Strength Corps Zion 5-star General, and welcome to my series on macronutrients. So let me just explain a little bit about how this series is gonna go. That way you guys can kind of have an idea of what you can look forward to, what will be in this playlist that I'm gonna construct, so you can learn everything that there is to know about macros. So what I'm gonna do basically is this entire week, starting with today, I'm gonna go over what macros are. We're gonna be talking about how to adjust your macros for your own personal goals. We're gonna talk about who should count macros, who shouldn't, how to count them when you're out, just everything that has to do with macros we're gonna cover this week. And then I also have some older videos. I'm gonna slap those into a playlist, and then going forward, any other specific questions I get about macros that aren't covered in these 5 videos I'm gonna do the next 5 days for you guys, I'll just add them to the playlist so that way you guys can always have a reference anytime you need to learn anything about macros. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with episode number 1, or number 1 video in the series, whatever. What are macros? Like, let's just talk about what they even are before anything. What macronutrients are basically are the food sources that you get that come in either the forms of protein, carbohydrates, or fats that basically give your body the energy it needs in order to get to the goals that you need, and also just to live. I mean, you need energy to live. Food is energy. You get the equation. We all did basic math, hopefully. If not, kind of sucks for you. This is not a math channel. All right, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is break down each one of the macros for you, what the importance is, and how many calories per gram there are of each one, just so you guys can kind of have an idea. We'll delve more into that when we talk about how to calculate your own macros later on in the week. All right, so the first macronutrient we're gonna talk about is everybody's favorite macro, right? Protein, okay? So what protein basically is, once it's ingested in food from like things like meats, protein powder, eggs, things, even some carbs have protein in them, you know, basically like trace amounts like beans and things like that have some protein. Once you ingest that, your body basically breaks them down into amino acids, and that fuels your muscles to repair from you working out, so you get stronger, you'll get bigger, all those goals that you want to accomplish, right? That is what basically protein is there for. Now, to talk about protein and how much protein per gram in calories, we're gonna basically break it down like this. For every 1 gram of protein, there are 4 calories. So for instance, if you have 25 grams of protein in, let's say, a scoop of protein powder, you multiply that number by 4, so 25 times 4, and that gives you 100. So that's 100 calories for every 25 grams. See how that works? 1 gram, 4 calories, 25 grams times 4, 100 calories. Get it? Got it? Cool. So remember, protein is basically just what you ingest in order to provide you the stimulus for muscle growth, muscle protein synthesis to get stronger, bigger, all of the good things that we want to do in the gym. The next macro we're going to talk about is going to be carbohydrates. So everybody's favorite but not so favorite, carbs get such a bad rap, and I'm gonna have another video explaining why people are afraid of carbs and why there's no need to be, but let's just talk about what carbs even are. So carbs can be things in the form of foods like grains, oats, pasta, rice, you know, fruits, vegetables, juice, anything that has sugar in it, or anything that gets converted into sugar, or glucose is what the scientific name is for sugar, basically, is a carbohydrate. So whenever you ingest carbs, basically what your body does is it goes ahead and it does usually one of 3 things. It usually stores it in your liver glycogen, stores it in your muscle glycogen, or it tries to burn it off through body heat, or just through you moving around through something called NEAT, which we'll talk about another video. Basically, it gets your body moving in order to exert those extra calories, and every so often it may store it as fat, every so often. But again, I'll have a whole separate video explaining how that works. Let's just talk about the basics and what carbohydrates actually are. So they're basically your body's primary fuel source. You know, it powers your brain, it gives you energy to work out, it gives you energy in order to just live your everyday life. However, it is the only macronutrient that you definitely don't need. Like, you can actually have 0 carbs the rest of your life, and still, as long as you replace that with protein and fats, like, you don't need carbs, because your body can convert amino acids into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. But again, we're not gonna get that deep, okay? Just know that carbs are not bad, they're good, they fuel you for your workouts and for everyday life, okay? Now, as far as the calories, so for every gram of carb, there's also 4 calories. So same thing as protein. If you have 25 grams of carbs in something, times that by 4, that equals 100 calories per 25 grams. So 1 gram, 4 calories. Get it? Got it? Good. All right, the last macro we're gonna talk about, fats, right? So basically fats come from foods like nuts, oils, things of that nature. Usually, eggs has like fats in it, but basically what fats do is they help out with hormone production. Now in some diets, they can actually become your primary source of energy if you're doing something like a ketogenic diet, which we'll talk about that another time. But for everybody else who's just trying to have a basic structured diet that's very well-rounded, fats are going to be the macronutrient that you need the least amount of in terms of grams, but come at a cost per calorie that's higher. And what I mean by that is, so carbs and protein only have 4 calories per gram, while fat actually has 9 calories per gram. So what that basically means, the same way we did 25 grams times 4 for 100 calories for carbs and protein, well, if you have 25 grams of fat, you gotta times that not by 4, but by 9. So now you're talking about 25 grams of fat times 9 being 225 calories, more than double of the other two. So that's why fats, you really don't need that much of them. We'll talk about how much you need in tomorrow's video where I break down how to actually calculate your macros for yourself. But just know that fats are always gonna be the lowest amount in terms of grams, okay? Because they're the most calorically dense. That's why when you tend to eat a lot of higher, fattier foods, it's a lot harder for you to lose weight because those calories just come at such a high cost. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk more about that later, but just know that fats are needed for things like hormone production, possible energy sources, but it is the most calorie or calorically expensive macronutrient. So just keep that in mind whenever you're, you know, having your fries or having your nuts or having your oils. Like, people really overdo oils when they're cooking, and they don't realize like a teaspoon is like 14 grams. That's a lot of calories, bro. But we're not gonna talk about that. All right, guys, so just a quick little video. I just want to explain to you guys what macronutrients actually are, so that way you kind of get a grasp of exactly, you know, how they work in the body, how many calories are in each one, and we'll delve a little farther into that in tomorrow's video, where I'm going to basically break down how to calculate the macros that you need to reach your goals. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to subscribe, leave a thumbs up down below. It really helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to click that bell next to the subscription button so you get notifications for all my new videos. And of course, don't forget the orders, subscribe and share, like and comment, follow all my social media. So next time, all my devil dogs, dismiss.
I put my heart on my lips, I gave it all I could give. I made it hot at the crib, I kept that fire at the crib. Where you gonna go when you dip? How I'ma know for real?